Welcome into our WTOL 11 Weather Hangout. It is so great to have you along. If you are watching on YouTube or on WTOL 11 Plus, we've got our team established, and we're going to cover what really has just been captivating much of the past week, the tornado outbreak that occurred right here in Northwest Ohio. And Diane and Matt, still a little bit of a disbelief that we're on the other side of 9 confirmed tornadoes that hit southern Michigan and Northwest Ohio.
Right. Just because radar clears off doesn't mean that we're still not cleaning up. It doesn't mean that we're not done talking to the insurance company. It doesn't mean that our lives are still not uprooted in some kind of sense. So, of course, we're keeping an eye. We're checking in with everybody still, but at least we have had some decent weather as far as being able to clean things up.
And Matt, just considering what has unfolded, where's your mind at right now, just about a week later from all these tornadoes that hit Northwest Ohio and southern Michigan?
I was just thinking about that. My mind is completely blown. Like a week ago, we were not even talking about possibly amount of tornadoes that we did see just last Thursday. But 9 tornadoes, and definitely an insane amount. Definitely the first in my life I've ever seen that.
Well, incredible job as well, kind of keeping the viewers and everyone informed in the situation. And we, of course, appreciate you as well. If you're watching the Weather Hangout right now, good chance that you probably were watching our coverage as those tornadoes came through the area. Also now, officially into the summer season, so we could say that spring went out with a bang with those tornadoes. And how's it feel to have a little summer vibe going right now?
It's nice. You know, to be precise, it was 10:57 this morning, and I just knew, oh, it must be summer now. The summer solstice, of course, happening then. But I was even lucky enough to go out to the Mud Hens game today for a little bit, did live weather there. Absolutely perfect. You could tell it was the first day of summer in the ballpark.
That speaks summer, right? Baseball with a nice breeze and some sunshine and a little more humidity. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think some of y'all remember last summer we hit 100 degrees. Just a year ago from this.
You're exactly right.
I lost track of that.
Quite some time ago, but you're right. We had triple-digit heat this time last year.
Right.
Thankful we don't have any of that quite yet. But all right, so what many of people are probably tuned in for right now, and we're going to give you a full recap of everything that we know about the tornadoes that came across Northwest Ohio and southern Michigan, and we're going to count them all 9. Diane is going to take us through 9 of those tornadoes, the paths, the strength, some of the length and the width of some of these tornadoes. That one in Huron County, can you believe this? It was 1,100 yards wide. That is over half a mile wide.
That is big, especially for here, because we aren't the Central Plains. We are not Tornado Alley, to where when we are seeing even some of the images that a lot of folks shared with us through the WTOL 11 weather app, even the news app, when I'm seeing hail about the size of a tennis ball here at home,
unbelievable.
That is not normal.
Unbelievable, of course. Yeah, it was truly jarring to see that. And some of the pictures and video that are coming in. Let's get right into it. So some of the first video that came in, this was from Blake Loy in Point Place. And could you imagine, right around rush hour time, you're on Suter Avenue, you're just kind of pulled up to a stoplight. There it is.
You just want to get home.
You just want to get home. And here it comes right at your windshield, a tornado. This was that EF2 tornado. The roof that you see blown off, that was the ProMedica Labs. This came right across Suter Avenue and then into many of our neighborhoods in Point Place that inflicted some significant damage.
Right. And even the flying debris that comes with this video, because even before the roof is lifted off, you can see that debris already ahead of it. And then, of course, as it continues on, I can't even imagine what folks sitting at the stoplight had to be thinking in that moment.
And speaking of that, Matt, coming up in a little bit, you're going to be talking about what to do if you're in a vehicle and a tornado approaches, correct?
Exactly. We've seen several videos of, people, of course, can't necessarily help it if you don't know about the tornadoes coming, but yeah, we've seen several videos of cars just driving past, and this is exactly one of them. You can just see cars just going right past this, inching close and just missing some of that damage flying. You can see the roof just landed right in front of you, and here's another look. You can see those cars passing right by, and of course, you can see that roof come off right there. Insane.
Those are large pieces of debris.
Yeah, and the thing is this is flying debris. It's going at well above speeds that it should be. So that's why when you're sheltering from storms, we ask you to stay away from windows indoors. You don't have to get video, though we appreciate it. It helps us to have eyes. Your safety is number one, and flying debris is really the most dangerous part when we see those tornadoes coming in. So that's why you're going to want to seek shelter whenever we're in these situations.
Multiple different views, but I think this one might just take the cake. Brand new video. This came in as the tornado slams into a shipping freighter that was on the Maumee River. Received this video yesterday, which would have been Tuesday, nearly a week after the tornado, from Nicole Willard. And now watch this. This was from her husband's point of view. He was up up in the wheelhouse on one of those vessels on the Maumee River, and you just see the inflow kind of being sucked into the tornado, and there it is, right across the bow of the ship, one of those 800-foot freighters on the Maumee River taking a direct hit from an EF2 tornado.
That is still one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know what you would think to be capturing that moment. I just don't know what I would even say or think through that. That is incredible video that we have.
Fortunately, everyone was okay. So that it was really, truly incredible video. We'll have more on that in a little bit and what they actually measured the wind speeds. It is truly incredible, and I'll have a little explanation on that because I've had some questions on that. All right, so we're just getting rolling right now. If we really want to dive into, or deep dive into what unfolded on June 15th, we're going to be doing that next with some looks back toward radar and the actual tornado tracks. And then Matt will be coming back in just a little bit as well with what to do in a vehicle if a tornado is approaching. We're just getting rolling right now with our weekly weather hangout. Take a look at this weather fun fact. Now, so now that you know a little bit more about the enhanced Fujita scale, we're going to dive right into it with the confirmed tornadoes that we had. Again, this was from June 15th, 2023, and it will go down into a date that will remain in our history books for the tornado outbreak that occurred here in southern Michigan and northwest Ohio. All totaled, we have 9 confirmed tornadoes, and coming up in just a little bit, meteorologist Diane Phillips is going to take you through each and every one of them, but it did include 3 EF2 tornadoes, 4 EF1 tornadoes, and 2 EF0 tornadoes. And some of these tornadoes were significant. In fact, high-end EF2 tornado in Point Place that was on the ground for 4 minutes from 6:06 to 6:10 p.m. That was on the ground for about 4 minutes. So we had several tornadoes. The first one to actually touch down was near Detroit Beach at 6:09, and that was on the ground till 6:18. And we had the EF2 tornado near Oak Harbor as well, 6:49 to 6:58. That went on the ground for nearly 10 minutes as the tornadoes came across northwest Ohio and into southern Michigan. Now, I do expect that we're going to be seeing quite a bit of damage cleanup over the course of the next couple of days. So let's take you back to that evening radar presentation of what was occurring when that supercell storm came right across southern Michigan into northwest Ohio. And we could go back now, watch the data, and of course we learn from elements like this. The tornado initially up there in Monroe County was the first one, but this was the prolific supercell that really rode along and enhance some of that spin along a lake boundary that had set up through the course of the afternoon. And here it is from the tip of my finger all the way down our Lake Erie shore. One continuous supercell that ended up spawning 8 different tornadoes here in northwest Ohio. Truly incredible. Let's take you through a couple of those stronger tornadoes. The EF2 tornado with winds to 130 miles per hour. And here, as it went right over Point Place, a fairly familiar kidney bean shape or a little bit of a hook echo indicating that there was some rotation, or at least some strong rotation at the time, that zipped up very quickly when that EF2 tornado did come down. Now, some of the brand new video that we just showed you moments ago, I want to give you a perspective on where that video was. And again, there's the video from Nicole Willard, and you're going to see here. This is the most incredible part. You can almost see the inflow coming into the circulation, the waves and the flow of the air being sucked in or drawn into this tornado. And here comes across the Maumee River. I do believe that's Grassy Island there. So this is going to be in the Maumee River mooring area, just east of Grassy Island. And here comes that tornado zipping right across the bow of that ship. And how about this for a little bit of a report? 148 miles per hour is what was reported on board of that vessel that Nicole relayed from her husband. Now, question is, I've had multiple questions. Well, wouldn't that make this an EF3 tornado? Well, not technically. Perhaps there's a little technicality to this. The EF scale is actually only a damage scale, so what type of damage a tornado inflicts. It does not actually take into measured wind gusts. Maybe a little bit of an error in the system, but it's the truth of the matter. 148-mile-per-hour wind gusts may not change the rating of that tornado, even if it is verified to be true. But incredible video of that tornado that came right across the Maumee River. Now I'm going to take you down into Ottawa County. This is just outside of Oak Harbor, and that EF2 tornado winds to 130 miles per hour. And look just south of Oak Harbor, east of State Route 19, a little bit of a donut hole signature that showed up. This was the precise location of the tornado on the southern flank of this supercell, just south of the Portage River, south of 163, and that was an EF2 tornado. But perhaps the most incredible image that we see, the Huron County tornado, confirmed EF2 tornado, and at one point this one was 1,100 yards wide as it came across Huron County. In addition to the very vivid radar signature, we had a strong velocity couplet here, which was indicating strong rotation, and we captured a tornado debris signature during our live coverage last Thursday evening as it crossed Route 61, which gave us essentially high confidence that a tornado was on the ground and occurring, a tornado debris signature that was detected on radar. There were also several more tornadoes that did happen in and around Huron County. All totaled, 9 confirmed tornadoes, the most in one day. We'd have to go back to 2002, the last time that we had more significant tornadoes across the area. So June 15th, 2023, it is going to go down in history as one of the more prolific tornado outbreaks that has ever occurred in Northwest Ohio. We can look back in history as well. Another interesting point of data, we could confirm that this was one of the strongest tornadoes to impact the Toledo proper area since, you may have guessed it, the Palm Sunday tornado, which was back on April 11th, 1965. And ironically enough, that one ended up coming right across the Point Place and Shoreland area on that fateful evening. For more on the specific tracks of these tornadoes, we're going to send it over to meteorologist Diane Phillips. And Diane, you're going to take us through all 9 tracks.
Yes, so we've been keeping an eye, of course, as far as communications within and around with folks that are going to be with the National Weather Service, of course, keeping an eye to things. So, of course, let's kind of start a little bit closer to the north. So here we are in Monroe County, and we have then in Detroit Beach, that first EF1 confirmed tornado. So that means if you have that EF1, your winds are around that 90-mile-per-hour range. This going directly east as that storm starting to kind of really take shape at this point. But of course, your distance not very far from Lake Erie, so already getting that early signal that that lake boundary going to be causing problems. Then we moved south to where Monroe County did go and give us, well, that warning. You saw that in the Toledo area, and that moved through Lucas County. So that continued on, causing that Point Place tornado for us. And you're going to see that, of course, that was that EF2. A lot of the video definitely showing, of course, the damage. Winds typically within an EF2 are around 130 miles per hour, but you're going to find that we go from the state line all the way to the lake shore, and then you are going to see that we still have those 2 storms there. So here we are, Sandusky County, where we also had an EF1 and an EF2. So the Oak Harbor one, we had Chris just showing us radar for this storm. So max winds reported in that one about 130 miles per hour. The path length, though, traveling in that northeast direction, going to be just under 3.5 miles. Then in Sandusky County, we're talking Rice Township with this one, is that EF1 tornado. You can see that the path length, not extremely long, just over 1/10 of a mile is what we had, 0.15 to be exact. But still, though the path to be shorter, it was still in EF1. Then in Vickery, Sandusky County as well, we're looking at an EF0. So this is one of our weaker storms that we had through this path, but it still traveled a length about 1/3 of a mile from this one, about 80-mile-per-hour winds, and that, though, is still enough to cause damage. So, of course, in those situations, make sure you are taking shelter. Also, you're going to find in Bellevue, we had another EF0 confirmed, 80 miles per hour. Of course, that's the range. We look at the damage and say, how strong would these winds have had to be to cause this sort of damage? So that's where we're getting these rankings. And like Chris said, looking at that damage. But also, you're going to find Huron County, that's where we also had Chris breaking down that radar. So it was an EF2. Max winds, though, a little bit higher, around 115 miles per hour. But the length of this one, just under 9.5 miles covered in just that one storm. Of course, there's a lot to keep an eye to. And then in Huron County, we still continue to have a lot of these storms. In EF1, for both North Fairfield and also in Greenwich, you're going to be finding, though, that those max winds about 110 to 105 in both of those. The path length, though, still carrying. Even as the system continued to move further east along the lakeshore, it did not lose momentum. Just under 10 miles path length there in North Fairfield, where here you're going to find about 4 miles as far as that length. So definitely an impressive look. Of course, we have all of those paths on the WTOL website, so WTOL.com. We have, of course, our full coverage, but if you want to go back and look at some of those locations, you're going to want to head online. But we were also talking about the hail reports that we had. Some of them up towards about a tennis ball, 2.5 inches. We saw quite a few of you send in photos where you had that hailstone go right through your windshield, right through your car window. So definitely a lot of damage that we're still keeping up on. Also calling the insurance company. Another report out of Lucas County, 2 inches as far as that hail, and it did continue as that storm pushed further south and east. We're going to see 1.75 for both Sandusky and Seneca County, sending in those reports of some of those hailstones. So some large hail considering the area that we have and what we're normal or used to when we do see those hail reports coming in. Of course, we still have more coverage, though, coming up. Don't forget, you can get more information on WTOL.com as far as those paths, but we're going to take a quick break, check out that fun fact, and we have more still to come.
Well, driving on highways and interstates can be dangerous enough, but driving while a tornado on the ground is not a great situation for anyone. That was the case for many across Northwest Ohio last week. I'll be breaking down what you should do if you are stuck in your car or out on the roads during a tornado outbreak. Check it out. Last week's tornado outbreak left a trail of damage for many residents across Northwest Ohio. We received tons of video of the tornadoes, and while it may be tempting to catch the money shot, being out on the road could be life or death. We spoke with Jeff Klein of the Wood County EMA for tips on how to stay safe in your car.
The first thing that we like to encourage folks is to really kind of be aware of what's going on with the weather of the day. We do talks and we say, what's the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning? And we say, well, what are you supposed to do during the tornado watch?
It's important to make sure you have a plan in place just in case a tornado does happen when tornado watches are issued. But how do you protect yourself while you're in a car?
First things that you want to do is you want to make sure that the seatbelt is on. You want you to get down below the windows. Keep face down, so if there's debris flying over you, your face is protected. The trunk of your body is as protected as it can be.
If you're out driving, the outdoor warning sirens may not be the best thing to rely on for a warning.
We really encourage people to start using technology, and one of the great pieces of technology out there right now is the WTOL Weather app, and you can set that to location and it will follow you wherever you go. It will still give you warnings, and the way that those warnings come through, it's almost instantaneous.
Seeing a tornado is an astonishing weather phenomenon, but safety should come first over videos and pictures.
All of us want to get that 1 in a million shot, but the reality is your safety comes first. And we don't really know what the tornado is necessarily going to do.
Your car is built to withstand damage, so make sure you stay in your car and shelter if you are able in the path of a tornado. Reporting in Toledo, I'm meteorologist Matt Willoughby for WTOL 11.
Well, it's good to note that May and June, they're the peak of our severe weather season, but you really do need to be vigilant year-round. Certainly could happen July, August, even a mini severe weather season that arrives into fall. And, of course, any time of the year, storms can wreak havoc on the area.
I was going to say, I've seen some really gnarly storms in November, so you can never leave your guard down. We always have to think about, where am I going to go? How am I going to get those warnings? Of course, you could be in your car, you could be at home, you could be at work. So it's always best to think through, no matter how much you've thought about it, it doesn't hurt to think about it one more time.
Yeah, and always have a plan beforehand. Of course, check it even the morning before, or even if you work night shift, check it if you're working the graveyard shift. Check it before you're leaving your house, just to stay safe out there.
Have multiple ways to get warnings is key as well. Not just one way, but multiple ways. Of course, we want you to be safe through the course of this season. I still can't get over some of the videos that we were able to display. Can't thank our viewers enough for being, so connected with us in sharing that, but also understanding that, what the coverage really likely saved lives that night. We had 9 tornadoes, no fatalities, and no major injuries that were reported across much of the area, and we're very thankful for that.
Yes, very fortunate. Of course, that does mean that we are thinking ahead. We are planning, so that is good news on that front. But of course, the timing of day, we're getting home from work, so during the night, it's never easy. It's never a great time, but we are very thankful and fortunate.
Yes.
Can we next week talk some quiet, calm summer weather?
Yeah. Welcome to summer.
And welcome to summer. Welcome you to summer.
Some pool vibes by then.
Let's set the date. All right, we'll join you again next week, and hopefully we'll be talking some summer vibes, as Diane says.
Yes.
Until then, though, we've got meteorologist Matt Willoughby, meteorologist Diane Phillips, and Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers. We thank you for joining us on this weekly Weather Hangout. If you're watching on YouTube or WTOL 11+, we thank you for being with us. Have a great one.